Hey you guys, happy Sunday. I am checking in because it's been a while since I have been on this Instagram. I started this Sports and Mimosa because I wanted to share my love for sports with other women and just other people and talk about it, but I got scared. And my last big event or thing with Sports and Mimosa was in May when I did the tutorial with my good friend Carla Johnson with Love Overboard. She did a tutorial where she taught us how to do a charcuterie board for game day that you can do it yourself and make it look like it was professional, or you at least had the tips to try and make it professional in preparing for football season, which we probably aren't going to have, or it's not going to be like we thought. So after doing that, I was really excited, but then I got nervous about continuing to share my love and to put things out there. I don't know if you get like this, but I do. I start to doubt myself, which isn't a good thing, and I'm working on that. But where I get fearful that what I put out there is not going to, people aren't going to accept it or like it, a rejection. I have a fear of rejection. But I have a passion for sports and I want to talk about it, and I think other women have a passion for sports and want to talk about it too. So yeah, I think I just need to get back out there. I have a very good group of supportive friends who are probably mainly my followers on Instagram right now for Sports and Mimosa, but I just want to thank you guys too for your support with hearing the ideas and encouraging, not just me, but all of us. Like, we seem to do that for each other. Someone starts a business and we're on it and we share it, and I think that is so awesome and so needed right now, that women support other women. So thank you to my friends for that and for still following, even though I started it and stopped it and whatnot. But one reason why I wanted to do this video and decided to just go for it is was I follow this PR community page on Instagram. I'm into public relations and communication, so I follow this group, PR Girl Manifesto, and she posts a checklist, a Sunday checklist every week for us to get refocused on what we need to do today that will prepare us for the week ahead. And one of them was to talk to someone that brings you joy. And so I thought, well, why don't I talk about something that brings me joy with everyone, and not just pick one person, but put it out there. And it kind of forces me out there. And so sports is something that brings me joy. So I just want to talk about some rundowns of what has been happening in sports that has brought me joy over the past week, and that I'm looking forward to this week in regards to sports, and hope that you would tune into these or be as excited. So I got my mimosa for Sports and Mimosa talk with you guys. So one thing that I want to talk about is the NBA and the NBA bubble. I am loving what the NBA is doing right now, and I've kind of reunited my love with the NBA. I worked with the Clippers. I was an intern years ago, and I loved it. And I've kind of just, after I left, life got in the way, and I haven't been paying attention to sports. And now I'm getting back into it after this quarantine, and just seeing what the NBA is doing and how they brought back their players during COVID-19, but then also how they have reacted to the social injustice and the racial injustice that's happening in our world, and how they've responded to their players and allowed their players to use the platform to speak up. Adam Silver has done a great job with that, and I love that, and is one thing that has brought me back to the sport, and has kept me away from the NFL. Do not like how they are handling things and what they have done to Colin, but now even seeing it more now that they're trying to retract some stuff, but then they're still not totally behind the players. So I don't know if I'm supporting the NFL this year. But back to the NBA. Love everything that they're doing. The games have been great. The playoffs start tomorrow, the first round of it, but I feel like it's given me like a March Madness feel, but on like a higher level, because it's professional players, but it's a fast-paced tournament instead of this best of 7 or best of 5, and the long drawn out series that the NBA's playoffs usually are. But also the Lakers are #1 seed, and they're playing on Tuesday against the Rockets. And the Rockets, or not the Rockets, I'm sorry, Portland. And Portland just had a great game to be in the play-in against Memphis yesterday. Yeah. So there's no games on today, but they'll be on starting tomorrow. The playoffs start. So who's in the playoffs is the Lakers and the Blazers, the Rockets and the Thunder, the Nuggets and the Jazz, Clippers versus Dallas. That would be awesome if Clippers and the Lakers play for the Western Conference. Bucks versus the Magic, Pacers versus the Heat, Celtics versus the 76ers, and Toronto Raptors versus the New Jersey Nets. Or Brooklyn Nets, sorry. Brooklyn Nets. So that's the playoffs. So tune in this week with it. Grab some champagne or whatever you're drinking. Get with your boo and watch it. They have been really great. And I love how they have also allowed fans to be a part of it by virtual. Some teams, I think, allowed like their season ticket holders to come in, and then Michelob, who's the sponsor of the NBA, allowed people to come in and you can sign in and you're like on Zoom or whatever platform they use, and then you get to be in the stands, like, so it's showing you from your computer. And I think it's really cool because I don't think we're missing that. If you're not a player, like me watching from home, I feel like I'm watching like it's a regular game. So they've done a great job with that. And then also with the racial and social injustice fight and protest that we have going on, they've allowed players again to use their platform. They can put on the back of their jerseys whatever they want to stand for, you know, like education for everyone. I am a man. I saw a couple players had that. Just a bunch of different things. They're allowed to speak out by on there. Then they had Black Lives Matter on the floor. I don't know if they're still on the floor, but they had Black Lives Matter on the floor, and they did a big thing when the season started. Another thing that I love with the NBA right now are the players, how they united around and have really partnered with the WNBA. When the WNBA season started, you saw a lot of when their first game went on, a lot of the players, the NBA players, wore the orange hoodies with the new logo for the WNBA, and I love that logo. But they wore that in support of the WNBA starting. Then you have players like Drew Holiday and Kyrie Irving that donated to the WNBA salaries. Of course, you know, there's pay wages difference between the WNBA and the NBA and women in general amongst men, but they helped pay for those salaries, especially those that didn't come to play because of COVID-19. Maybe they didn't feel safe or whatever other reason. So those guys and some other players really stepped up to help out the WNBA, and I thought that was really great. Something that I'm looking forward to this week also is on Wednesday, August 19th, two of my favorite ladies in sports, Carrie Champion and Jamel Hill. They have a series coming together on Vice TV where their show is going to be called Carrie and Jamel Stick to Sports. So I know they're going to talk more than just sports. They've been vocal about other things outside of sports and how it relates into sports. So I can't wait for that show. They both are amazing women. Carrie has her own organization, Brown Girls Dream, and that creates a space for women of color through mentorship and sisterhood. And so they got that going on, or she has that going on. And then Jamel has her own show, of course. Jamel Hill is Unbothered podcast, and Carrie has her own podcast too. So definitely tune into those. On Jamel's, I don't remember when it was, but I just listened to it last week. I love podcasts. She had Grey's Anatomy's star who plays Meredith, Ellen Pompeo, on, and it was a great conversation. You know, Ellen is an ally for black people. She's a white woman, but she's married to a black man, but she has stood up and brought, I think she was like one of the first to mention her salary versus her counterparts and black women in entertainment. And so she just speaks out a lot and is an ally for Black people. So love her, besides on Grey's Anatomy too, but check that one out. And some other podcasts to check out that I love with sports is All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Great. Like it, I feel like I'm just sitting there listening to my cousins or homeboys talk. You know, they're really laid back. It's a really great show. And then Lito and Parker is another one with Kristen Lito, who's TNT sports reporter, and then Candace Parker, who is also a sports analyst, but then she plays in the WNBA too. So they have a podcast together, so you can catch up on that, because I don't think that they are currently filming right now, because Candace was playing. Then I think it's August 24th, but Orange County is honoring Kobe Bryant Day. His birthday is this month, and then just to celebrate him, and that's still a shocker. I can't believe that him and Gigi are gone, and that Kobe is gone, and that all those people in those 7 people in that helicopter crash, you know, died like that, including Kobe and Gigi. So I think that's pretty cool. Another thing with the NBA, of course, but LeBron James, his voting group, More Than a Vote, has teamed up with the Dodgers to make the Dodger Stadium a central location for a voting center for the November elections, which is really cool. He's, you know, playing off of the Lakers and the Dodgers having a really good relationship and being very important in the city of Los Angeles, but encouraging people to come out and vote, because your vote is more than just a vote. As you can see, some people didn't vote, and we have the orange man in office. So get out and vote, and I think that is really cool that LeBron is using his platform for all this good stuff. And then fun baby stuff, Sierra and Russell Wilson had their baby the end of July. I have to look for those pictures. I'm sure you guys have all seen them, but I thought it was pretty cool because I thought she was pregnant for the longest. And then she finally had the baby. That's her 3rd child, their 2nd child together, and his name is Wynn Harrison Wilson. I still need to read on why they named him Wynn. I think there is a story out there. So, but that's what I'm excited about in sports, and have loved. Just a few things that I wanted to share. Really big about the NBA playoffs this week coming up, and the Lakers being in it, and just it being a really good game. So I think you should definitely watch. If you haven't been watching, or if you're not an NBA fan, just watch at least one game, and watch Tuesdays because it's the Lakers. But share with me in your comments, what are you excited about for this week? What are you excited to see? It doesn't have to necessarily be sports, but if it is, that's even better. And yeah, just comment, talk, and I'll be back. Thanks for listening.